Hi Piccolos, this is a practice guide to Kodaly's the Peacock Variations. And in variation 14, we have it's a big flute solo and then it's a piccolo solo as well. Okay, lots of little things in there, and every time I play it, it's never exactly like I wanted. The hard thing about this solo is that it needs to sound very free, but yet very often, except for at the very beginning, it kind of has to be in time and just have the impression that it's very free sounding. You definitely want to sound like the flute. So the flute has a big solo, very similar to this, your entrance, right before, and you dovetail. So the flute at downbeat here is like yaga da 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 da, and then you come in ya da 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 da, dovetailing. That first low G I have it printed in my part, but I believe in the score it's not there, that low G. But most conductors ask you to play it so that there's no hole from the first flute. When you do play it, not too soft, it needs to be present and just float up to the high D with a vibrato that is similar to the flutes, but in proportion to the piccolo. So like just a miniaturized version. Something like that. Next, ya, ba, 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 we have the lines and dots. That happens a few times, and every time it should be just like I sang, ya, da, 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 or some kind of like placed a little bit. And that's where you can be a little musical. And in fact, this opening that we have, or the beginning of our solo here, there's nothing else happening. I think strings are doing tremolo or something. So we can be pretty free here. You can be musical with those ta, 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 and then ya, da, da, da. I usually start a little on the slow side, and then ya, da, 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 da is kind of in time. And then in the sixlets here, I kind of make up for that time that I was slower on earlier. So I push forward right there. And then here, I start my crescendo consciously. So it says crescendo through that whole line, but I have found for myself, it's just easier if I kind of think of the crescendo here, and then I keep it through the sixlet, ya-da-da-da-da-da-dum. So you're going towards that G. It's easy to lose momentum or have it feel like it's losing momentum because you're going from 30 seconds to 16ths here. You know, like that. So that's where I kind of use my crescendo to feel like the momentum is still going forward. Overall, I would just say throughout the whole thing, it's not as fast as it looks, especially that first line here. And it should always sound not calm exactly, maybe, but not intense. You don't want it to ever sound like just a bunch of technique where you're going, you know, just like insane, which actually there's a lot of recordings out there that, especially from the European orchestras, where it almost sounds like they're adding a whole bunch of extra notes, but maybe just always still beautiful. It should just still sound beautiful. And also with our first entrance here, ideally it should all be in one breath until you get through the C trill. But you can take a little sneak breath after that G arrival if you need to. You can make that sound very musically convincing. That's fine. After we get through this first part, ya da da da, 2, ba-da-da-da. It needs to pretty much stay in time. The second flute starts coming in right in there somewhere. And then by the time we get to here, the first flute rejoins again, and probably the second flute, I can't remember. If you look at the score, it looks very like Daphnis and Chloe type stuff. When we get to 395, it feels weird to just be ya-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but it's, I believe we're in unison, or at least in this exact same rhythm as the first flute and probably other winds. So we're just trying to all work together in the wind section at this point. And then from here, sounds boring, but it just needs to be just like that. And then to try to make it sound more musical or more free, when it changes to the 32nd notes right here, that's when I put in my crescendo, because only the piccolo is doing 30 seconds, so it kind of like comes out of the texture. So you can A and going to that A with the accent. From there, I wouldn't do well, you can do whatever, but for me personally, I don't start my crescendo until the 30 seconds. And then here we come in soft, ya-da-da-da, exactly in time. And again, this is what I do. I keep it pretty soft through where it says crescendo. I don't really crescendo until I get towards the end of my 30 seconds, so that I can keep my crescendo going through the 16ths right there, so that it feels like the line keeps moving. And then here, the A, it has an accent, but I wouldn't do like a real accent. To keep it in character to what you just did, I interpret the accent to just have activity in my vibrato. So it's rest, shimmer, like a little shimmer A right there. And same thing somewhere else. Here, the G. So it's rest, here, ya-da-da C, just try to make your C high. I wouldn't do an alternate on that C, but for most of us, our C's are flat, so just lip up a little bit. Something like that. Ya-da-da-da-da-da. You can play a little bit with the rhythm there, just as long as you cut off before that rest, because everybody cuts off in the winds right there. And then rest, and then a little shimmer vibrato. And then ya-da-da, what is this, 405? Ya-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then start diminuendoing. It says diminuendo right at 405, but I would wait a little bit. Otherwise you can get like tucked into yourself too early, and then your notes disappear from you. And then that last G right here, I would hold it a little bit. The conductor will cut off, and then it's ba-da-da, totally different variation right after that. And then ba-da-da. Okay, so I think those are all the main things that I think about anyway. I hope that was helpful, just a little bit of guidance. And please hit subscribe if you haven't already. I have an ongoing playlist of these types of practice guides for piccolo. I do a lot of videos on general piccolo playing, intonation, alternate fingerings, tone exercises, things like that. So you might want to be in the loop for those videos when they come up and be part of our little piccolo community here. Thanks for watching this video, and happy practicing.